Hello, friends. Every time I watch this, I'm sorry. First of all, hi, thank you all for coming. I'm so happy you are here. But I was just commenting that every time that I watch the Octane video, I get hyped. And it's so close now, so close. And just a side note, if I'm coming to San Francisco for Octane, so if you are in San Francisco area, I would love to see you there, especially if you stop by the developers side of the whole Octane. I want to say hi, everybody that is in chat. It's very nice to have you here. I hope this is going to be the fun one where we finally get to make a protected API request. So, to be completely honest, I kind of debugged why the thing wasn't working throughout the week, and I figured out why. I mean, I know how to fix it. I don't know why it doesn't work, but we're going to fix it. And then maybe we can dive into a little bit of the code to figure out if we have the time. But for today, today is going to be the day. I'm very confident we are getting to make that protected API request. Hopefully everything will turn out really fine. Let's see. Let's see if we can make it happen. So for those of you that never watched this live stream before, haven't been following up, that's totally fine. We are coding a badge, a digital badge, and this one has Wi-Fi capabilities, so you can make requests through the internet. But I don't like to see my face in the big camera, so let's go see the ID because I like to look at code more. um, so here again, this is Tony. This is the ID we use to talk to the badge up top, right on top of my new hairdo. Did you like it? I tried to make a little, different thing because it had been a while since I did the two ponytails or two top buns kind of thing. So up top we have the badge. That's the little thing that we are trying to code in. It has Wi-Fi capabilities, but to make it work, we do need to have it connected to a computer so you can code it. So once you code it, you can do the request as many times as you want by choosing the application in your badge. But so far, this is why we have like this little cable on the side here that is connecting to my machine and allows me to code inside the badge. I already plugged it in and it is um, already connected to Tony. So basically, for the people that didn't see Tony before, Tony is one IDE like VS Code or IntelliJ or whatever, but it has special capabilities to talk to the badge and allow us to code in the badge. So let's take a rough pass on the what we are seeing here. So on the right side, no, left side, we have the files. So on top, we have the files on my computer. Those are the ones that I have on my computer. On the bottom, we have the files inside the badge. And these are the files that I have open here. So jwt.py and badge.py. So earlier today, I ran both of the scripts, make sure that it was working, but we can go through them again. So badge.py is the one that outputs the badge information that you can see here. So basically shows my information, a little photo, although for events, I try not to have a photo and maybe have a QR code with where you can find me on the internet, and that's mainly my website. I just saw, thanks, Trey. I felt good, you know was trying to be funny. But anyways, yeah, so we have the badge. That's the main, usually that's the main thing that I do and I work with to show a little bit of my identity when I go to events. So I add that to the lanyard with the badge for the event, and I have that handy, especially when I'm talking to developers. Sometimes I don't have my phone with me, so it's an easy way for people to find me on the internet. So I have a QR code in there to show it, especially because my last name is a little bit hard for people that do not know Portuguese or Spanish. So I find it that me spelling is not my strong suit. So it's saying each letter of my last name is really hard because it's a long one. So I thought like, oh, I love this because it's easier for me. But anyways, I'm not going to use the badge.py file, so let's go back to the jwt.py. And I just realized that this is not a really good name for this application, script, or whatever you want to call it, because it's not about JWTs, right? We are trying to make a protected API. So maybe later we might change the name for that thing. But so far, so good, especially because you cannot edit the names of the files inside the badge. You have to create a new file and copy the contents over. So I might rename it, but only later, not today. Um, so basically, inside of my badge, I have all of these folders that holds the Python code we use to show information on the badge. And this is the one that I have inside examples. And if I scroll down a little bit, you're going to see jwt.py here. And if I double click, it's not going to make anything because it's already open. So last time we did this, let's run this, right? Let's see what's happening. Last time we did this was maybe 2 weeks ago. We got to that point where we made the request to the correct endpoint. That is the OAuth token endpoint on Auth0. My idea is that by providing the configuration for my application, which is an API, I can get the access token, and that API is protected. So that means that I need an access token to access some of its endpoints. So right now we cannot get through because we're getting access denied. That means that probably either we have wrong information for the OAuth token to give me an access token, or that information is missing. So something is wrong there. And once again, I figure out how to correct it, not why the correction needs to be made. But I guess we can dive in a little bit to see, right? So let's take a look at the code that we already done, because I don't know about you, but my memory is very short and I don't remember the things I did maybe 2 weeks ago. So we start with importing the libraries that we have. I set the Auth0 domain. So once you create your Auth0 account, you get a domain for your tenant. So basically, my domain is my tenant, which is that temporal. I do not like to give funny names for my tenants, although I know people probably would prefer to have the tenant name be something related to the application they are building. Oh, hi. Thank you for the follow. I just realized I cannot read the name of the person. Who is that? Oh, Pineda. Hi, nice to meet you again. So Pineda is actually an Auth0 ambassador, just like Lax that is in chat. I'm so glad that the ambassadors are here. I love when y'all appear on the things that we are doing. It's so great to see y'all again. Hi. So with the domain, we get a way to access the information in Auth0. So for example, for protected APIs, you need to get an access token to make calls to those protected endpoints. So we have the domain. So this is my tenant name, and the location where my tenants is the region where my tenant is located in Auth0.com, because we are using Auth0. Now I think it's good to preface this whole conversation that I'm using Auth0 as an example because I plan on building a talk on this whole thing of coding badges and bringing your own identity in a digital manner to affect wherever your devices that you have. And but you could have the same kind of flow to access all the protected APIs. So for example, let's say you are using the Twitter API or some other like Heroku API or GitHub API, you probably would need an access token to access those APIs. That's how they control who is accessing what and what are the permissions that you have on that API, what actions you can perform. So I'm using Auth0 because I plan on building a talk on top of this, but you could be using any other protected API. It would follow kind of the same structure, especially if they are following the OAuth best practices and standards. Okay, so another disclaimer is the chat is on this side. So that's why I keep looking on this side. And I just realized that my font is too small for me. So I have to focus to actually read the chat. I'll do better next time. But yeah, hi Pineda, it's nice to see you too. I guess I met Pineda for the first time in person at PyCon US, not this year, last year, if I'm not mistaken. Which is super fun to get to see like Pythonistas in person. I do really enjoy it. Okay, So we start with the domain, setting up the domain. We're going to use the OAuth token endpoint to get the access token we need. Then we start the display setup so that we can show stuff on the badge. So the first time that I ran the script, you can notice that now the information on the badge changed a little bit. And that is in a function that draws whatever we want to draw in the badge. Would that be a photo? Would that be text? It is down in this script. I also put a default text here just in case we have problems reading the configuration file that I have, which contains the client ID and client secret 4.0. So it's easier to debug. And then we start to get data. To get data, we need to read the Auth0 config path. So my idea would be with this one, we read the configuration information that we need for Auth0, the client secret, client ID, the audience for that API, put everything inside of a dictionary, which for the people that do not do Python, that looks like a JSON object. I was extremely careful last time because I thought this might be the reason. So basically, because this is a text file that we are reading, we might have the break lines. That's the it's forward slash and backslash, right? This is the backslash n, which basically means like new line. So I made sure that we'll remove that just in case. I never know, things might change in the way that the file is read. And then finally we have a dictionary in here. I'm not going to show you that dictionary because I don't want my client secrets to be out and about. Secrets are supposed to stay secrets, otherwise they become gossip, and everybody knows about gossip, so not a good idea, right? And because I'm reading this file and I'm opening it, I need to close it. It's a good practice to close. So add this off camera when I was debugging that request. That's what I'm going to show you how to fix today. And then because I like to separate every little piece of step that I do into different methods or functions. In this case, functions because it's not inside of a class, it's not part of a class object. I did another function which actually gets the access token once I have all of the information for the client ID and the client secret inside of that dictionary. And mind you, this Auth0 request data is a global variable, so it's going to be available after I finish that function, even though I'm not returning anything with that function. Particularly, I prefer to call functions and have them return than setting global variables, but I'm trying to follow the same structure that people from Pimoroni, I guess, did for this badge. And they tend to use global variables. I'm not sure if it is that way because it needs to be that way or not, because I didn't find anything on it on the internet. So I'm keeping that way. I can change it later when I refactor this to put it on GitHub. And another question is this code on GitHub yet, Jess? It's like, no, it is not. But it's going to be once I get to a point where I feel like, oh, this works, kind of thing. So let's get to the access token part because that's the part that I'm interested in, and that's the part that we need to make it work today. So I ran this script, and you can see the things that are happening here. So I basically printed out that we are making requests to the URLs just so we know what was happening, and this is where we stopped. And then I set up the request using the uRequest library, which is similar to other request libraries like HTTPX and requests from Python. You can just pass it all of the information for that object, and it's going to make a request for you. And this is a post request because you need to send data to the endpoint to get an access token back. So it's going to be a post. And I pass along the URL, the headers for my request, which basically is application JSON type. So it's the content type for that request. And I pass along the Auth0 request data. So when we were looking at the documentation for this library, which I'm not particularly familiar with, and we can open that again. Where is my browser? Oh, here it is. uRequest, MicroPython, and if we go to, see, it's already, because I clicked this so many times. So this is the function that we are using, right? Not this one, but this is the base function that we are using. So you can pass along the method, the URL, the data, and the JSON file. So both of this two parameters are going to be added in the body of the request. Now, reading this documentation, which is something that I might probably will make a PR for later, we can see here that data is optional, both JSON and data are optional, which is okay. And data can be a dictionary, a tuple, a list, in the format of key value pairs inside of that list. Well, a tuple list actually. So it's a list of tuples. And this is a tuple for those that don't know Python. Basically, when you have parentheses, that's a tuple. The idea of that tuple is that the values inside of a tuple don't change. But you can have different orders within the list and everything else. Will be form coded. I do not know what that means, but I'm guessing is you have to follow the key value format inside of the tuple so that the program understands what you're doing. So for example, we have client secret and the value for the secret, which is like a string. So you have to make sure that you have client secret first and then the string for the value later in the second space. Byte or class file object sent in the request body. Okay. The second one is JSON, which is also optional, but it's JSON data sent in the request body. So my guess is this needs to be encoded in a certain way for the data to be in the body to be perfect. And we are trying to use this right now, passing a dictionary, which probably doesn't work. So let's change it up to dictionary and see if that works with the request. My guess is it's not going to work. We're still going to have to make it look differently. My guess, no. I know that for a fact because I tried it earlier this week. But anyways, so the request is the base type of the object we are going to use. And then you can do either get, post, because that's just a shortcut for doing the same request of the type get or the type post. So we are using post because last time somebody, I think it was Corey, that was in chat saying, oh, I guess this is more readable than request and passing the method as a parameter for the function. So we went with post, and let's go back to the code and try to change it a little bit. So back to our IDE. Let's see. We have the post, we have the URL, headers, and then JSON. So let's change this to data because I know this is a dictionary. So changing to data should make it work. So let's do this and let's try to run this script again and see if we get something different other than error description and unauthorized as the value. Run, and it's going to reboot my badge and then make the request. And okay, so we get a different error now. So object with buffer protocol required. Okay, so it needs to be a bufferable. Is that a word? Bufferable, like make it up into something that can have a buffer. And I know that you can do that by turning this dictionary into a string. But I'm going to do it a little bit different, which is I'm going to use a library that is called UJSON. So UJSON, much like the JSON, what is the name? The JSON module within the Python language is going to format this dictionary into a JSON object. Or read a string, depending on which method you use, read a string and turn it into a dictionary. So let's open the documentation too. I don't know if UJSON has a documentation. UJSON MicroPython. MicroPython. Can I type? Yes, I can type. Oh, look at that. It has a documentation. I guess it's actually the same documentation for the U request, right? Probably yes. Make block. This is a different one. Docs MicroPython. Yeah. So this is part of the MicroPython library. See? So Python has JSON and MicroPython has UJSON, which is kind of interesting to see. So the functions are only 4. And that's what you need, right? So you have dump, where you serialize an object to a JSON string. writing into a given string. We have dumps, which returns a JSON string. So these two a little bit different. I usually use this one because that's the one that works, and that's the one that we're going to use. And then we have load and loads. Loads, so you parse from a given string, and loads parse from a string, um, and returns an object, usually a dictionary, because JSONs can be translated into dictionaries. Does that make any sense to people? I feel like it's not a very common thing. I can show you like an example on how to do this with Python, normal Python, not MicroPython. Or I can show you on MicroPython since this is not running. So here I have like a shell, right? So I can run MicroPython or Python code in here. So if I import UJSON, I can use this. And if I do dumps, and if I pass it like a dictionary, so value key, let's put a key in here. Let's put it hello, and the value is going to be world. And if I run this, oh, see, I have a string here. If I do the same thing but without dumps, it's using dump only, it is missing an argument because it requires, I guess, a string in here somewhere. But anyways, you get the idea. Now we have a string. So I'm going to use that one and see if that one works. And hopefully it will. But to do that, I need to actually import the library just like I did in my shell. So let's do that. And importing in Python, you can do it anywhere you want, but I like to keep my imports pretty and organized, and imports from the main language, I would say, MicroPython main version flavor of the language that you're using come in first. So you request, and then we have UJSON. And if I go back down to where we were doing stuff, I'm going to break this into lines because I think it's easier to read. And you can do that. I love doing that, to be honest, especially if you have a function or a method that has a long list of parameters that you have to pass along. And here I can do UJSON dot dumps, which was the one that we saw work, and close parentheses. Okay, so the moment of truth. If I make this request, will it work? Will it not? I don't know. Let's see. I'm hoping it does. Requesting URL. We get liftoff. Yoo-hoo! Yes. We don't have a problem anymore. I'm so proud. Oh, thank God. Yes, it worked. Can you see the relief in the developer that is doing live coding? We never know with these things, right? But anyways, yes. So let's look at this a little bit. So we have an access token here. It is this giant JSON web token. It is token type bearer, and it expires in this amount of time. I guess it's seconds. I'm not sure, but I guess it's seconds. So you can use this, and I'm going to not show all of it because, you know, safety reasons. You can use this to make a request to that protected API. And like, I realize that not everybody might know what protected API I'm talking about. So I'm going to show it to you. A long, long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, I was beginning my work at Auth0. And the first talk I did in the name of Auth0 was on the very first developer day. It happened online. I wouldn't say 2 years ago, but it might be 3 years ago. I don't know anymore because my memory for dates and times is not the best one. So I'm going to go into Heroku because I redeployed this recently. Yes, I know my session expired. What is my password for Heroku? I don't remember. Okay, give me a second. I'm going to type in my password, and I don't want people to see my password. Break. I'll be right back. I'm back. It worked. So here I have a bunch of applications on Heroku. Please don't mind the end of life notices. These are old things I don't use anymore. So basically, I have a few applications running here, but the one that I want is the Where Have I Talked. So a long time ago in a galaxy very far away, or far, far away, I did my first talk at Auth0, and it was with a project that I built in Python. And I know I was a little bit sneaky because I did an API and it has a page that the API renders, but it's not, I didn't call it a single page application because for me, it doesn't qualify as such. So if I open the app, oh, thank God, I didn't break anything in the meantime. So this is a map, and you can see that we have a bunch of little pins, and you can also see that I didn't update this map because it has been 2 years. So I given a lot of talks last year and this year too, and I need to update this map. But basically, this was uh, to share, I guess, a version of when you have a map at home and you put like pins on it to mark where have you been, like which countries, cities, states, or whatever. Because I move around a lot and I rent most of the places that I go to, I cannot like make. I don't like to drill into walls because it's an extra thing to move out of the apartment that I'm living in when I move to the new one. So I did a digital version of my wall map with locations and pins. So that's what this was. And I built it in Python. I deployed it to Heroku, and I can make requests to it. So if I actually go to GitHub, I can show the code that I have for this thing. Am I logged in into GitHub on here? I don't think I am. Da-da-da. GitHub. Oh, it is a public repo. I don't need to be logged in. So it's a little Flask API for starting places where I give talks. Oh, okay. So real pause for the people that speak English. I'm going to say hi in Portuguese to a friend that just popped in chat. Oi, dinossauro, como você tá? Muito bom te ver. Um, beijo pra tu também. So in English version, so dinossauro that just stopped by chat to say hi and make sure that he said something. He's not going to be able to stay here, but he wanted to say hi. So Dinossauro is a great Pythonista back in Brazil. He does amazing work with Live de Python, which is basically a channel on YouTube and a channel on Twitter, on Twitch, for coding in Python in Brazil, and that's very helpful to the Brazilian Pythonistas communities. He helps a lot of people with his coding. So I do. It was really nice to see you. So yes, going back to the API that we are talking about. So this is Flask. Flask is a API framework, like web development framework would be better because you can do APIs, you can do regular web applications and everything else. So I developed this in Flask using the code at that time from Auth0 to protect the API. And this was like the first project that I coded in, coded in while working at Auth0 and trying to figure my way out through knowing how to protect APIs, how to create a web application and those kind of things. So I did this, and this was super fun to do. So it is a very simple API. If I open the app.py, which the standard name for API is named in Flask, you can see that I have like a bunch of imports here with Flask. The decorators that I use, these are from, so the first ones are from the decorators from Auth0. I just put that into a separate folder in a separate file. And the second one are the ones that I created to be called, not decorators, but functions to be called to create the new map and create new places in a given map. So basically we have the home endpoint. That's the one that where you see the digital map, this one, where if I zoom in, actually, you can see locations like this Brazil. Here somewhere up top, I have Graz, where I went to record a course for LinkedIn Learning. And where else? I went to Taipei once to give a talk there too on a civic tech event. So this was pretty fun to actually do because I never had like a this view until I kind of make this website. Anyways, so this is the home endpoint. That's what you do. That's what you see when you access that endpoint. The application that is oops endpoint, or like something goes wrong. I can actually show this. People will be redirected to this one. Oop, where have I been? Talks edition. Just a pearl. Something went wrong, as expected. And as you can tell, like I'm not that into CSS or having pretty HTML, so I just did the basic as I could information in here. But going back, we see the map again. Then we have the ping endpoint, which requires authorization. So basically, that regenerates the map that you see in the homepage. And you have the post and like the post endpoints on places where you can create new pins on that given map, and also requires authentication. Uh, or well, requires auth, and in this case is the access token. So if we provide a give like a valid access token, this decorator is going to do all of the checks, get the information from Auth0 for the public key for validating a given token and so on and so forth, and then read the request data and create a new pin on the map. So the idea would be that I would be able to make a request and update the map when I travel very easily, I would say. So my idea would be for us to be able to either regenerate the map or create a new place from the badge. I would say that ideally, regenerate the map would be easier just because I cannot input information into the badge. There is no keyboard. So I guess I will probably use this one instead of using the places one for what we are doing. So anyways, let's go back. So this is the API. If I access the ping endpoint from here, oh, Jesus, no, wait. Ping endpoint, you're going to see that, oh, something went wrong. Authorization header is expected. So if I did a API request with an authorization header, which it doesn't have here, of course, because it's a simple GET request on the browser, it would give me unauthorized because I wouldn't pass all the information. But from the badge, I can pass everything that it needs to not give this weird thing, right? So let's try to do that. So going back to Throny. Now we have the access token and it is inside this J object. And I'm going to change this name because I don't like it. I would say access token data, probably. Yes, I guess that's better. And I'm going to change this here. And I'm not quite sure what I should do right now. If I should parse the thing or if I should leave as is and return that object as is. Because this is, as you probably can see here, is a dictionary. It starts with the curly brackets. It doesn't have like a quote before, so it is a dictionary already. I guess I'm going to do a global with that variable too. Yes. I guess I'm going to do that. I think it's going to be easier. Global. Any preferences for the people that are watching this in chat? Because now's the time to say something. I think I'm going to do global just because we are going to, what is the thing? We did that for the previous one, and I guess that would make it easy for me to access the access token. I'm going to stop. I'm going to print this one, data obtained, and I'm going to stop printing the access token because I don't need to be actually seeing it. And I guess I'm going to leave this here just in case I need it. And I'm going to close the request because we did the request, but I want to make sure that we close it And actually, this is not R, this is res from requests. Like requests in the S in the end. Oh no, excuse me. Response. It's not a request, it's a response. That's why it's RES. Anyways, I'm closing it just to make sure that we keep like, best practices the same way that I close the file after reading it. And now I'm going to draw the page and I'm going to display on the badge the token type because it's the smaller information, piece of information that I have inside of that thing. And here I have commented out the version that I had before, where in the beginning, the first live stream that I did with the badges, we were using the JWKS object, also from Auth0. So it is the JSON Web Key Set, JSON Web Key Set, which it has information from keys. And instead of using that information, I'm going to use the JWT information. So I'm going to copy this. I guess this started on the 28th, so I'm going to copy the second one, which is the line right below the line that says working on it on top here. So can you see this? I guess it is. My camera is not focusing, but anyways. So on top you have like the black bar that says protecting requests. I should probably say something better because it's not protecting requests, it's making a protected requests, right? Requests or protected endpoint. And then underneath it says working on it. So that's the line that starts on the 28th pixel of the badge. So I want to start right below it, and right below it is the 48th pixel because that's how it is. So instead of saying number of keys found, I'm going to probably say, what should I say? What is the name of the thing that we are using? It is token type, right? Oh, we should probably say token type, right? Does that make sense? Token type. I'm going to do a second thing. Instead of working on it, I'm going to say access token received and token type. And instead of saying number of keys, I want to use my dictionary access token data. See, that's why I did it separately before, because it's easier to access. I don't have to do the whole dictionary accessing information in here. And the way to access the value for the token type is using square brackets and not this one, token type, and pass along the name of the name of the key that we want the value for. And so I'm going to start on the same line that the previous line, which is 3, which is like 3 pixels from the left to the right. And on the second line, which is 48, and this F here is like F strings is a big deal in Python. It's basically a way for you to put the value of a variable inside of a string without having to format the string, which I think is pretty cool. I love F strings. They are my favorite. Let's see if I did this right. Let's try running this. Okay, soft reboot, requesting URL, data obtained. Ooh, good. Something broke. Awesome. What broke? So access token. Oh, so received broken. Okay, so the problem is this thing here is cutting, like before we were using only part of the screen, the screen of the display, right? We don't use only part now. We're going to use the whole screen. So the whole screen is width, but I wanted to finish like right before the end, so it doesn't, like any words don't glue to the left, to the right side of the display. So I'm going to do 3 again here. So this is the whole width of the screen, and hopefully this will account for how much we need to write in there. I'm also going to remove these 3 dots uh, just to be safe. And I'm going to run this again. So then when it runs, we should be able to read. Yes, victory. Okay, so now we have protecting requests, which is the top black line. Then we have access token received. And then underneath it, the token type, which is bearer. Look at that. So I don't know how much people in chat or listening to me speak for the longest time know about JSON Web Tokens. So if you have questions about JSON Web Tokens, about like all of these things that I'm doing here, please do drop them in chat. I would love to answer them for you. And I'm trying to explain as I go, but sometimes, because the curse of knowing too much, sometimes it gets you. So I might not be doing a good job at it for more beginner in Python or beginner in Auth person. So let me know if things are not clear. I would love to clarify them. So basically now we know that we have the access token, we have the token type. So keep in mind that if I do this and this key doesn't exist in my dictionary, things are going to break. So ideally, everything that I'm going to write should be in a try except. So in case like, oh, I cannot find that value inside that dictionary happens, my script doesn't blow up. But I'm not going to do that right now. But I will do it later as an improvement, the same way that I would love to improve the part about using the global variables instead of returning from the function, right? So okay, this works as so far, I guess. But let's try to make a request. So we did the first request, which was to Auth0 to get the access token. Now we have the access token, we can make a request to the ping endpoint. So let's do that now. Let's create a new function and that does that. So this is draw page. I don't want to move this. But if we make a successful request to the ping endpoint, something should come up. If I look at the code, I guess what is going to happen if I do a ping? Oh, if I do a ping, it's probably going to render template, so the index HTML. I don't know if that's a good idea. I'm thinking about it. So, okay, well, this means that if we make a ping to that endpoint, like if we do a request to the ping endpoint, what will happen? We are going to create the map, which is the function that creates the map. If I'm successful, oh Jesus, stop opening the thing. If I'm successful in creating such map, I'm going to have a value created, and then I will render the template. So basically the idea would be that a new page would be hindered. This is a very tough word to say in English. Will hinder the index.html file. So basically it's going to reply back with an HTML to my request. Now, why am I cautious about this right now? And I just realized that this might not have been the best API to do this thing. Why? I'm going to tell you. Because the amount of space I have for processing things within the badge is very limited. So things might blow up in my face and I might get an OS error if I do ping the endpoint. The same would happen if I do places endpoint. And I guess I could implement a new endpoint in this API and deploy it to Heroku that replies with a JSON object instead of whatever page this is, which probably would be better. So if things blows up, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pause on coding the badge and implementing stuff in here. But keep in mind that it has been a while since I did this. So I might need a whole other live stream just to do the adjustment and then make the successful request without blowing up the space I have in the batch, right? So let's go back and see if nothing blows up, I guess. Okay, so we got the access token, and now we want to make protected a protected request. So I'm going to call it def, and this is definition, and I'm going to define the function, and I need a name for it. Does anybody has an idea for a name for a function that, I guess this is the hardest part of coding, is giving names to things that means what they mean. My functions tend to have very long names, and I don't think it's not necessarily bad or good, but it's sometimes it's very tiring to say the whole name of a function that is a very long name. So we need the name for a function that does a protected request. Name for function that does a protected request. So should we say protected request? Maybe. What do y'all think? I'm thinking about this. Is this a good idea? Hmm. I absolutely do not know. I cannot make a decision today. The week was long. All of my decisions are out. Okay. Let's do it like this. Let's keep protected requests for now. If somebody comes up with a better name, please drop it in chat and I will change it. So what will protected requests do? Protected requests will use the access token to make a request to a protected endpoint, right? Now, what do I need for this to happen? I need the API path wherever it is on the internet. Oh, and you want to know what? I can actually drop this in chat and you can actually see that working on your machine. Why can't I paste in chat? Can I paste it here? Oh, I got it. There you go. Have fun. And going back to Joni, so I need the URL. And I put it in a comment here because I already have a URL object and I don't want to overwrite it. So I might do API URL instead. Okay, I guess that's nice, right? Isn't that nice? And I need to have a string for obvious reasons. If I had not put the quotes on around this string, Python would try to interpret this as a variable, and it is not a variable. It is a string that I want to use. What else do we need now? We need to make another request, right? So we are going to do a post request. Is that the type of request that the endpoint accepts? I guess it is, right? I just looked at the code and I don't remember. That's how silly my head is today. So he queries off, it is a get request. So it's not a post, it's a get. Interesting. Why is this a get? Shouldn't I send? Oh, I get it now. So get requests do not this is a get because I'm not sending any data. I send data to the places one. Okay, makes sense. Jesus. So we're going to make a get request, and the way that we did this was response equals u requests dot get and pass along the API URL. Let's try to do this. Let's make this run and see if we get an error. How was that I used? Yeah, this one, right? and I'm going to oh, print the value. Um, let's see if it breaks. Hopefully if I do this, which I'm not passing any information whatsoever, no access token, no authorization header, no nothing, hopefully this will say the same thing that we saw when we accessed the ping endpoint earlier today, where you are missing the authorization header. Let's see, requesting URL, data obtained, token type bearer. And I should have put like a print on requesting second URL, right? Protected API URL or something. Yes, I'll do better next time. Now I don't know if you ran through that or didn't. Oh, it didn't. Of course it didn't. I'm not calling this function anywhere. Details are important. So okay, so we get data, we get access token, we need to call the same function, otherwise it won't run, right? Jess, you are a little slow today. Okay, so let's also put the print that is going to be requesting URL. And I wanted to have the API URL in here so that I can show which URL we are requesting and follow the same standard for the that we did for the last one. Let's run that again. And now this is going to be called, so this should run. See? Look at that. Hi, Chavi. How you doing? Hello, hello. Oh, I got an error. I got an error? Oh, it makes sense that I got an error. Actually, to be honest, because it doesn't make sense or doesn't. Now I don't remember anymore. No, it doesn't. So because this is I know why. Do you want to know why? Because when something goes wrong, it doesn't return a JSON object. It returns a file, a page, a HTML page, right? The oops page. The oops page is an oops.html. So if I go in here and I go to oops, it shows this is an HTML file. If I inspect this thing, you can see there is a code in here. Like, where have I been? See? This is so small. Can I increase the font? I guess I can't. Oh, Jesus. But anyways, yes, if you inspect, you can see that this is HTML. So that's why it doesn't have a JSON object in there. Okay, so it makes sense. Let's print requests, the response instead. You were in a meeting? Oh, that's fine. I understand. So far, we were successful in getting the access token, which which weren't able to do before. So we got the access token, good, from Auth0, and now we are trying to make the protected request. So this is a response object. Okay, now I need some help. I need to stop this. I need to figure out what type of, I don't know, maybe information from a response object I can get to show it to you. So I'm going to do the same thing. So okay, so the way that I like to do this is I either run the full script by clicking on this big button that says run current script, or I copy and paste the code into the shell and see what happens, right? So I'm not printing this because I don't need to print this, but I'm making the request and starting into the response object. Oh, I need to import your request because the shell is brand new. So import your requests. And if I go up, there you go. So this is going to make the request if finished. So if I do this, which is the object that I have, and see here, okay, let me bring this up a little bit. See here, I have options like close, encoding, text. I can do raw. So raw is probably going to print out the HTML, I guess. Same as text. So let's do text to see what happens. See HTML. Duck type HTML is squeezed. Look at that. A lot of characters squeezed. Click for details. which makes sense. So this is like HTML, a lot of HTML. So if I go like, see, it's the same thing that I had in browser. Um, so no script, no touch, false, disable, blah, blah, blah. So style HTML, body, and it has all the style in there. I guess it kind of does get something like it's for standard situations. I didn't write that style. It wasn't me, I promise. My HTML was very being polite, very simple. As simple as one can get. Actually, I can show it to you too. Because if I, so this is the Oops HTML, right? And inside of Flask applications, we have templates. So templates are the pages that a Flask API or um, web app can show. And inside the templates, we have the basically all the HTML files that you can use. If I had like JavaScript functions or whatever, I would also have another file for what we call static, and that's where like JavaScript, CSS, and other things would go in. So oops is actually like HTML with the head, with the title, and the body, which is all of that information here. See? Um, the way that Tony's showing to me, I don't like it, so I'm going to close it. So we know that this is HTML, right? So that's why we couldn't print the JSON object here because it doesn't have a JSON object. So if I go again to res dots and do tab, you can see that we have close with encoding. JSON is going to give out the error. We can see the status code, the reason, the headers, content, and so on and so forth. So let's fix it so that we can get our JSON object out of the gate. And I am going to implement another endpoint that does return a JSON object that we can use that is protected by Auth0 in that API and deploy it over the week. Or if we have time, what time is it? It's 11. So I don't have time today, but I want to make this request work today. Today is the day. Okay. I'm annoyed that I couldn't get it to work last time and this is taking forever again. But anyways, let's get this to work. So we need to pass along the headers and we need to pass along the access token within the header. There is a couple of ways that you can do this, but I'm going to do it the same way that we did before. So as any other probably developer like me likes to do, I'm going to copy which one I know is working and then I'm going to change it a little bit. So this is what we had before. So header data. This is going to be different. So I need to actually change this object and I'm going to have created here header data. And mind you, header data, all capital letters, header data, all small letters are two different objects. Okay, that is really important. So this is going to be a dictionary and is going to have two key value pairs. So looking at my, what is the name? Looking at the code for that endpoint that I had, app ping, I need to have two headers, content type and authorization. Not necessarily need to have, but like these are the headers that this endpoint is looking for and no other header is going to be taken into account. So I'm going to put all of those two together. So how do I do this? I'm going to copy the dictionary that I already have for the other header data because I know that it has the content typing there and it's going to be application JSON and I don't like to be typing things that I already know where they are. I could also add a new key to that header data, but I'm not going to do that either because I think it's going to complicate the code without necessity. I think this is more clear than adding another key to the previous dictionary. Also, I don't like to be overriding dictionaries for requests because I don't know, I feel funny about that. so I don't like to do it. I prefer to create a new one if I can. And the other one that is missing is the authorization one. Should I capitalize? Should I not? I'm going to do non-capitalize and see if the API compliance. Authorization. Did I write that? Did I wrote? Is that authorization? Yes, I think it's right. And this is going to be like this. Barrier. What is the name? BAR. This one is space, and this is going to be the access token. So as you probably figured out, let me put header data here so I know that it's not going to break. The access token is going to come from the other dictionary that we already have, which is access token data. Ooh, we'll look at that. And, oh, Jesus, wait. Access token data, I'm going to copy this because I make a lot of typos and I don't want to make another typo, and I want to let you all go in time. And I need to use the access token key inside of that dictionary, if I'm not mistaken. And that would make it work, right? So one thing that I'm going to do right before, because I don't want to make a request before we got everything done, is I'm going to print out the header data. Am I doing this right? I feel like I'm doing this wrong. Jesus, coding is fun. You never, half of the times you don't know what you're doing. I don't remember the last time I did a request that was protected and had an authorization header. It has been a long time, and it was through an IDE, right? So it didn't help either. Okay, so this is the, oh yes, because it has an F. See, it was wrong. You need to be an F string to order in order to add the information that I needed. So now it works. Okay. So I have authorization header, better the access token, and the content type, which is application JSON. So this should guarantee that my request works if I pass this along. And I don't have a data anymore because this is a GET request. We don't pass along data. And header data. Please work. Let's see. Let's see if it doesn't break. Oh my God, we got a response. Oh, dang it. I'm so silly. The problem is, the way that this is not going to work, right? Let's try to do text. Should I do text? Content. Content is better. Let's do content first. See if it works. Requesting URL. Oh my God, something happened. Is this? Oh my God, see here, marker pop-up. This means, oh, it was redirected. Yes, it was redirected. That's why it has a bunch of things. Probably was. Yes. So, okay. So I know this worked. I know you cannot see it, but I know this worked, and I'm going to tell you why. So pop-up is the same type of pop-up that we do for the markers. Let's see if there is something that, okay, Florianopolis. So this is Florianopolis. Yes, it worked. Oh my God, this is amazing. Can I write this out to a file and then show you the file? I probably can, right? Can we try to do that real quick? How do I write the file? I have a written file in here. This one. Where is my, okay, here. Let's try to open a index.html, and I'm going to write the response content in here. Will this work? Because I don't have the file. I don't remember anymore. Will this create the file? Let's see if it works. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, we figure out. Okay, so it showed me the contents of the thing. I don't think you wrote the file though. F close. Oh, I didn't do a close to either, right? That's oh, see? Closing is very important. I should probably have printed here that it is over. So I'm going to stop this thing and I'm going to download this to my machine. And guess what? I have a terminal ready for this situation. Look at that. Choo choo choo. So this is the same folder on that I have open on the Thony app. And here you can see index.html, which was the file that we just downloaded from the badge. And if I'm doing this the correct way, activate. This is a shortcut for me to activate my Python environments. If you want to know more about Python environments, I can tell you all about it. Let me know. And if I do Python, how was it? It was -m http.server. Okay. So this is basically serving all of the files in here into a browser, like into a port that I can access through a browser. So if I go, can I do localhost or do I have to do the IP address? I don't remember. It works. It works. See, this is proof. It works. Okay, so for homework, hi Leon, nice to see you again. So it worked. We managed to get the file. Oh, I'm so proud of this. This is great. Okay, so for the next one, we are probably going to edit that API to return a JSON instead of this whole information. And I'm going to think of an endpoint. If you have ideas for endpoints that we can do on this whole thing that we could return information, I thinking about like maybe a list of places that we already have currently. So next live stream, we might code that endpoint together and then make the request again, since now we know how to make the request and you know it works. Look at that. I'm so proud. This is me happy. A developer happy because it worked after much debugging. Okay, thank you everybody for joining. Do we have anybody that is live streaming right now that we can raid? I would love to do that. Somebody told me it was a good idea, and I'm trying to use Twitch in a more social manner. Where is it? Who is live streaming right now that I know? I don't see anybody that I know. People playing CS, video games. Uh-huh. Who is live streaming on software? Let's see. Does anybody know any live streamers on software development that are online right now that I should raid? If you have any preferences, drop that in chat. I would love to read somebody when I close this up. Few housekeeping notes before we do read somebody is this was super fun. I plan on sharing the code for the badge somewhere on GitHub, and I will post that to my social networks as soon as possible, and that might be next week. What else? Oh, another reminder for the people that were here in the beginning of the live stream was I have no idea. Okay, so pause. I gotta learn this Twitch thing again. I do. It has been a while. Like I'm trying to get back to the game. So right now you can probably see like up top. You can also see like my social showing up. I did that this week. I'm so proud of that too. It is a video and it has a background that is the same color of my background. which is kind of fun. And now I'm trying to raid people, uh, improve a little bit every day. I guess that's how it does. And I'm also thinking about doing more live streams in the week. Uh, okay, Leon, what is Tail Warden and Comzer? I don't know. I never heard that words before together. I never words that Warden. Tail. Oh, DevOps. Oh, nice, interesting. Tail Warden. Is that the thing they're discussing? Cloud costs, bringing transparency to your cloud spend. Interesting. Future of DevOps starts here. Bold. I like it. Comzer cost optimizing too. Let's see. Comzer. No. Comzer. Tech. Comzer IO. Is that what I want? I could say yes. The open. Oh, okay. This got me excited. Open source. Yes. Cloud environment inspector. Build your cloud asset inventory and break down your costs at the resource level. Interesting. I love things that the idea is to bring down costs, because I do believe that we should have free options for everything that we do. Although I do understand that the world that we live in doesn't function that way, but I'm a strong believer on things free whenever possible, of course. I don't want people to be working for free. Please do not understand that the wrong way. But anyways, yes. Oh, they have a community, a Discord server. Oh, that's interesting. I love the character here, the mascot. Oh, I don't know. Yeah. Is this what is the name of this thing again? It's not a squirrel. It's the other one that builds the things for the water. I'm terrible at names. Jesus. In Portuguese, it's castor. I know the name in Portuguese. I don't know in English. I'm sorry. Beaver. Oh, thank God, my brain. Beaver. So it's a beaver. Beaver? Yeah. The teeth and the tail. I guess beaver is the right name, right? Yeah, that's the beaver. Look. This is not a beaver. This is another thing. No, it's a beaver. Oh, look at that. Oh, thank you. Hi. Who is the person? I couldn't read. Hakia. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing your name right. I'm sorry if I'm not. Tail, is tail word similar to clotho? I don't know, because I never heard of all of the words. Clotho, tack. Is that the one? It doesn't feel like it. Oh, is that the one? Infra Copilot? Is that the one that you're mentioning? Rakia? Is Hakia or Hakia? Hakia. Okay, good. I apologize for the wrong pronunciation there in a while. I don't know if it's the same thing. Like I never heard of either any of these three tools before. Infra Copilot, Intelligent Infrastructure, Infra as a Code, Editor. Oh, I love. Dang it! These people with these new things and the mascots. Look at that! It's so cool. Mascots or characters? I don't know. Interesting. I like this. Looks nice. Your infrastructure co-pilot for a test flight. Interesting. So nice. Deploy to cloud with five simple capabilities. Oh, it does Python. Okay, you got me there. It starts with Python. I'm already happy about it. Honestly, not sure. My friend runs this channel and they had them as a guest. Oh yeah, I'm not sure either. Okay, but I'm definitely rating them. What is the link again? Kube Simplify. And also making sure that
simplest resource
give them a
is sorry,
follow.
even the simplest application.
Okay, so I guess this was fun. Once again, Friday next week, I'll be here same time, coding the badges and doing a little API development. adding another endpoint to that API so you can return a JSON object. I'm guessing what I'm going to do is do a JSON object with a list of places that we currently have in the map. And that's going to be it. That's going to be the end of it for a while. Hopefully 1 hour we can get that going and do the API request that shows that information on the badge. So basically it could be a fun way for you to show, oh, I've been in this X, Y, and Z location kind of thing. If you have any ideas of other things that we should do with the badge and enjoy all of the request capability, the Wi-Fi capability, let me know. Send me a DM on Twitter, send me a message on Mastodon, send me a message on Blue Sky, wherever you fancy, whatever is your preferred social network. You could be a DM on LinkedIn. Please do not, like, you can talk to me. My DMs are open everywhere. And I love to talk to people, to new people, getting to know you, getting to know what other things are you building. So let me know. Let's be friends on all of the social networks. And if you see each other in any events, please say hi. I love meeting people in person too. And I'm having a lot of events coming. I have PyCon UK end of the month, because today is the 1st of September. So yes, I have PyCon UK end of the month, and I have Octane in the beginning of October, which I'm really excited and pumped for. And then I have PyCon APAC in Japan end of October. And finally, which I think is going to be my last in-person event of the year, I have GitHub Universe also in San Francisco, same as Octane. Oh, thank you, Hakia. So good to hear. Oh, I'm glad you enjoyed your time here. Yeah, we see each other next Friday again. If you're here, if you are able to join. And then I will be off for maybe 2 weeks after next Friday because I'll be traveling, and then I'm going to have PTO. My sister is coming to visit, and I'm going to enjoy some time with her. So I'm super excited for the events coming and getting back to live streaming after the events are done too. So I'll see you all